What do you think about when you hear the word influence? For me, I think about my family. I think about my younger sister, who I was told to be a good influence over. I think about my older brother, who was told to be a good influence over me. But not only was I told to be a good influence over my younger sister, I remember my parents telling me all the time to be a good influence no matter where I was. If I was on my sports team, to be a good influence of sportsmanship. If I was at church, to be a good influence as a Christian to other Christians. If I was at school, to be a good influence as a student. Wherever I was, my parents wanted me to be a good influence on other people. And I think about that sometimes. And not only do I think about that, but I think to myself, what was influencing me? Because for me, I don't recall being influenced as much as I do trying to influence other people. And that's what happens sometimes with influence. Sometimes we don't always think about what is influencing us in our lives. Well, I did some research and I found a study that talked about the two biggest influences in America today. On the American people, what are the two biggest influences on people today? And the first one has been the same for years and years and years, and they speculate it'll probably be the same for a long time. But it's friends and family. Our friends and our family are the most influential parts of our lives here in America. But number two, they said, was a little bit shocking, and it's been growing over the years, but it's finally gotten to the point now where it's very influential in people's lives. Not that it hasn't been recently, but even more so today, which is media and our phones, screens, a TV, the social media, music, or anything like that. Podcasts is something that's really influential on people today. All kinds of things in the media realm influence us today. And one of the reasons they talked about that was because of how much time we devote to those different media outlets, how much time we devote to listening to podcasts in our car, how much time we devote to listen to the radio in our car, how much time we devote to being on social media, how much time we devote to things is normally where we can find what influences us the most. There's a quote out there, and I'm not sure who said it, but I know it's a good quote and something I've always remembered. But it's, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. And I don't know who said that quote, but I've always thought it to be a very true quote. But something I think about today, after reading some of this research, is not show me your friends, but show me your phone, and I'll show you your future. What apps do you have on your phone? When you get on your time part and see what have you spent the most time on, show me your phone, show me what you follow on social media, show me what you're listening to, and I'll show you your future. I'll show you what's influencing you. And so the question begs to be, how do we switch that influence? How do we make sure that it's God influencing us and not the world influencing us? Because it can be easy to say, well, I want to make sure I have godly people around me to influence me. But sometimes we don't always give thought to what are we consuming in the media? Are we consuming the news? Are we consuming TV dramas? Are we consuming social media? Are we consuming TikToks? What are we consuming that's influencing us in our lives? And so I think I have 4 good steps to making sure that we have good influences in our lives. And a lot of it has derived from having good influential people around you, but just using those same steps, using those same points to doing it with media as well. But before I get into that, I do want to read a verse, Philippians 4:8, which talks about influence and making sure that we have good influences in our lives. Philippians 4:8 says, "Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Think about those things whenever you are using your media, using your TV, using your phone, using social media, whatever it is. Think about those things. The first thing I want you to do when you think about having God influence you over people influence you is elevate your Bible in some way in your life. Somehow elevate the Bible in your life to a point where you see it often, where you know it's there, where you can't go a single day without seeing your Bible. For me, I put the Bible on the bottom screen of my phone. I use the YouVersion Bible app a lot. I think it's a great device. I think it's really good. And I put that on the bottom of my phone, kind of the most used apps area. So every single time I open my phone, it's not on a page I have to scroll to or anything like that. It's right there at the bottom every single time. And not just see it every day, but take an opportunity to read it every single day. And most likely, if you see it more often, you're going to think about reading it more often as well. Number 2, evaluate what media you are plugged into. For you, what is the media outlet, the TV channel, whatever it is? What is it that you are most plugged into? Ask yourself, what do I spend my most free time listening to or doing or watching? What is it that I have that the most with? For me, I spend a lot of time listening to podcasts. I love listening to a podcast when I'm in the car, if I'm cooking dinner and there's nobody around talking to me, or if I'm working on a project in the house, or sometimes even if I'm just working here at work, I will have a podcast on almost all the time. And when I first started listening to podcasts, I was listening to all sorts of stuff. I was listening to crime podcasts. I was listening to, TV show podcasts. I was listening to sports podcasts, all those different kinds of things. And what I realized was eventually I realized those podcasts were not doing anything good for my spiritual life. They were influencing me with the hosts and different people like that. They were influencing me, but not for the right reasons and not for the right things. They were not influencing me on a spiritual level to get closer to God, which is and should be our most important piece of our lives, is getting closer to God and serving Him. And so evaluate what you're plugged into the most. What is it? Is it podcasts? Is it music? Is it TV? Yeah, kind of platform? Is it social media? What is it for you that you're most plugged into? Number 3, encounter Christian content creators on your media outlet. So I'm going to give you an example of myself since I listen to podcasts a lot. Like I said, I listen to sports, crime, all those different kinds of things. And I said to myself, I'm not going to completely get rid of the podcasts I like. I'm going to pick 2 or 3 that I listen to now that I like, and I'm not going to completely get rid of them. But what I am going to do is I'm going to make sure I spend more time listening to Christian content podcasts in a day than I do to some of this other content podcasts. And so it kind of took me a while to find good Christian podcasts. But if you're like me and you like podcasts, some of the ones that I found that are really, really good are Unashamed by Phil and Jace Robertson, a podcast called Cultivated, the Mike Winger Bible Thinker podcast, the Bible Project by Tim Mackey, Theology in the Raw by Preston Sprinkle, and sometimes audiobooks I enjoy listening to as well, or just sometimes on my YouVersion Bible app, I just click the play button and listen to the Bible being read to me. It's a great influence on my life, and it really does help me to have a good state of mind from Christian content creators. So if you're somebody who likes social media, kind of unfollow some of those accounts that aren't good for you, aren't providing very much for you. If you're somebody who you like music, don't listen to some of those bands that use the lyrics and the language and things like that aren't good for you. Find and discover Christian content creators on social media, bands and music, different kinds of things, and try to listen to those more often than you do the other things. And number 4, the last one is, I would say this: execute at least one prayer, reading at least one Bible verse, and having at least one interaction with a Christian content creator per day. Now, I gave you this video, and you're not going to change everything and be all done, everything. You're not going to be perfect now, and you're not going to only be influenced by godly content now. I mean, that's just not going to happen. But what you can do is you can set a goal for yourself today to pray at least one prayer, read at least one Bible verse, and have at least one interaction with a Christian content creator in your life. If you listen to podcasts, listen to one podcast a day that is from a Christian perspective. If you're somebody who likes music, listen to one album a day that comes from a Christian perspective. If you're somebody who you like social media, go through and scroll through at least one account a day that has Christian content on it. It's going to be better for you, and it's going to be better for the people around you, because it's going to be good influence in your life that you're going to help influence other people as well. Thanks so much for joining me. Have a great Tuesday.